Hello, Paulo Leite here, record collector. Today I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am visiting Decatur CD and Vinyl. Let's go inside. Now, this is a big place with a great collection, lots of variety, and everything impeccably organized. On the right side of the shop, from the back all the way to the front, we can find rock and pop on new CDs, in alphabetical order. And we start with gold, Have Louie Will Travel by Richard Berry. This compilation was released in 2004. He had such a great voice. For those who don't know, Richard Berry was the writer of the classic Louie Louie, that he released as a B-side in 1957 as Richard Berry and the Pharaohs. After it became a hit in California, the song was re-released in 1961 as an A-side. By then, it was being covered over and over by other artists until the Kingsmen in 1963 recorded the version that became an international hit. Sadly, Berry did not get a lot of money from the song's success because he sold the song's rights shortly after his own release for $750 in order to pay for his wedding. It wasn't until the 80s that he found out that a significant portion of the rights he thought he sold were actually left out of the sale. As a result, he took legal action, regained control of the song, and became a millionaire. This is an incredible story. Horizontal, 1968 by the Bee Gees, their fourth album, and a departure from their previous work. Their sound here is heavier and I would say much more complex. It is a gorgeous album with some great songs. Thick as a Brick, 1972 by Jethro Tull. This is the 40th anniversary set with the album remixed, a multi-channel version, and more great stuff. Even more impressive, this was, 1968, their first album. This is the 50th anniversary collector's edition with instrumentals, mono mixes, BBC sessions, and much more. And here's A, 1980, the 40th anniversary edition. By then, they sounded completely different than before. Richard Hawkins 4621 commented, and I quote, "CDs will never be collectible, but it's a good way of getting records on the cheap." Well, I couldn't disagree more, Richard. The examples I just picked up, and I'm going to pick up a few more, demonstrate the opposite of what you said. Those editions are not cheap, and they are highly collectible. However, there is a lot to be said about the collectability of records. I don't think we should compare the collectability of vinyl versus the collectability of CDs. These are two very different formats that today are aimed at very different consumers. We are living today through a time of media dematerialization. The proof of this is the power and the prevalence of music streaming platforms, like Spotify and its ilk. A lot of people don't care about physical media. They are just casual listeners, and they don't miss buying records. However, still, there is a number of people, like me, who enjoy physical media. Somehow, we like to have a connection with the music and the artist. Physical media seems to provide that. And to be entirely honest, I would suggest that there would not be the vinyl resurgent we are seeing today if it wasn't for this dematerialization of music that has left people longing for a material connection. The dematerialization removes all the rituals associated with physical media. And a lot of people feel that need to go back to the ritual. Vinyl offers a lot of ritual, but it tends to be less affordable than the CD that offers a little less ritual, but it's cheaper to produce. This all became very evident to me when several articles came up in the last 5 years revealing that around half the people who buy vinyl records do not own a turntable to actually play them. A lot of people are not looking for the music. They are looking for the connection that comes with the ritual made possible by the object, even if that ritual, for a lot of people, cannot be fulfilled. Broken Barricades, 1971 by Procol Harum. This edition contains 3 CDs that include 2 concerts and a ton of extra material. I love Procol Harum. La La Land, 2010 by Plants and Animals. This is a Canadian band with a gorgeous sound. This was the first album I ever listened from them. Totally worth it. Decatur CD and Vinyl has a large number of special editions, collector sets, expanded editions, which is great because if I really like an album, I will try to get the most complete version available. Small Faces, 1967 by Small Faces. This was their second album, and it contains a number of great songs. And this version contains 2 discs, mono and stereo, with lots of bonus tracks. Oh, Boots, 1966 by Nancy Sinatra. This was her debut album, produced by Lee Hazelwood, who also recorded the hit These Boots Are Made for Walking on his own album that was released on the same year. 200 Motels, 1971, the soundtrack from the movie by Frank Zappa and Tony Palmer. If anyone has any doubts about Frank Zappa's genius, one can start right here. Of course, Zappa showed his brilliance on many albums, but this is one of my favorites, and the film is quite an experience. 10 years after, 1967 to 1974, this awesome box was released in 2018 and contains their first 9 studio albums, plus a 10th CD with extras. Phil Spector, the early productions. This was released in 2010 and it contains some of his earliest productions. This is a great buy since many of these artists, like the Creations and the Duquesnes, are very hard to find and, I think, have never been released on CD. Lots of great Steely Dan albums here. Let's look at their jazz collection. It's located over this entire row, close to the wall. The other side contains international music, reggae, and more. Here's a great Louis Armstrong section. And as you can see, new and used CDs are mixed together, with the used ones having these stickers on the spine with the price. And I think the prices here for used CDs is pretty good. Basie Swings, Bennett Sings, 1959 by Count Basie and Tony Bennett. This is one of 2 albums they released on the same year, and it is great. Also, lots of Coltrane, lots of Brubeck. Several key Miles Davis recordings at a great price. The OK Ellington 1991 by Duke Ellington contains some great early recordings that are beautiful. They are quite old, so their sound isn't the best, but still totally worth it. Yes Please, 2000 by Foreplay. Foreplay is a jazz group that was formed in 1991. They released several albums and I like the ones I listen to. Sunflower, 1973 by Milt Jackson. This is a gorgeous album with a stunning orchestra arranged and conducted by Don Sebaski. Herbie Hancock plays the piano here. And all this for $5. Trumpet Concertos, 1983 by Wynton Marsalis. This is the first of several albums of classical music Wynton Marsalis recorded for Columbia Jazz. Great stuff here. The Bach Book, 1999 by the Jacques Lussier Trio. This was recorded at the famous Studio Miraval in France, a studio founded by Jacques Lussier in 1977. Several great artists recorded at Miraval, like AC/DC, The Cure, Judas Priest, Wham, and many others. The entire estate was acquired by Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie in 2011. and was the center of their legal disputes in the context of their divorce. It reopened, fully refurbished in 2022 under the name Miraval Studios. The architecture of the place is gorgeous. Jacques Lussier was famous for his jazz interpretations of Johann Sebastian Bach, whose music is today in public domain. However, back in 2002, he sued Eminem and Dr. Dre for $10 million, claiming that their song, Kill You, stole several elements from his composition, Pulsion. They settled out of court, and when I listen to both songs, yes, they are pretty much the same thing. Two great albums by Don Shirley. And Don't Call Me Shirley. Love Fantasy, 1980 by Roy Ayers. And Everybody Loves the Sunshine, 1976, classic album by Roy Ayers Ubiquity. This is an SHM CD. SHM CDs are made with a high-quality polycarbonate that is more transparent and supposedly delivers higher audio quality. But of course, as with everything in audio, higher audio quality depends on many issues. It's great that today we can find these Japanese editions more easily. 20 years ago, you could not find them anywhere, and they used to cost 3 times what they do today. Some of these are highly collectible. Yes, CDs are collectible. On the shelves, there are tons of great albums, all of them new CDs, more Japanese editions, box sets, and more. This Errol Gardner box contains some of my favorite jazz albums ever. This Thelonious Monk box contains the 2 volumes of Monk in Tokyo, 1963. Now, here's something interesting. A Charlie Brown Christmas, 1965, by the Vince Guaraldi Trio. Here at Decatur CD and Vinyl, we find 3 versions of that album. This is the original version of the album with 12 tracks. Then we have this edition released in 2006 with 4 bonus tracks. And then we have this one released in 2022 with 12 bonus tracks. And here is a great Les Paul and Mary Ford compilation, and it is no mystery, Gibson named a great guitar after him. This brings us to their collection of soul, funk, blues and oldies, and other related subgenres, with a small but very nice space titled New Orleans. And we find gold here, Clarence Gatemouth Brown. This is a German compilation that was released in 2021, and it's from a series titled Rocks that is dedicated to artists who played an early role in the development of rock, with names like Bo Diddley, Big Joe Turner, The Five Royales, Lloyd Price, and others. Now this is great. Gimme Shelter, 1970, by Mary Clayton. She was the one singing those burning vocals on the Rolling Stones song. This is the album she released with her own version of the song, and it rocks. The Lost Sessions, 2011, by Alan Toussaint. But there's a lot more. Some great Shuggie oldies titles. Who doesn't need some Shuggie? Soulfinger, 1967, by the Bar-Kays. Beautiful first album, but also The Definitive Collection, 2019. This is a very nice anthology on 3 CDs released in the UK. It contains some of their best recordings. D. Clark, 1959, his second album, a beautiful orchestra and a beautiful version of the classic Nature Boy. You should check this one. Sweet Soul Music by Arthur Conley. This was one of his first 2 records he released in 1967. He was a powerhouse singer. Stormy Monday, 1962, by Lou Rawls with Les McCann Limited. This was Lou Rawls' first album, and it contains gorgeous versions of God Bless the Child and Willow Weep for Me. This early in his career, Lou Rawls was very jazzy and completely different from the singer he became when he got together with Gamble and Huff from Philadelphia Records. The Poet, Parts 1 and 2 by Bobby Womack. These are two albums put together on the same CD that he released in 1981 and 1984. To me, these albums, especially the first one, make a perfect bridge between 70s soul and 80s soul. Legendary percussionist Paulinho da Costa plays here, and this one is coming home with me. Oh Boy, The Story of Brunswick Records, 2012. This is one of several double CD compilations that were released in the UK that were dedicated to old, small American labels from the 50s and 60s that no longer exist. Lots of doo-wop and early rock that music lovers should know. Oh, feeling adventurous? There is also this awesome collection of CDs from the Numero Group. Some albums cover older stuff from the 60s and 70s, while other titles present contemporary artists, but mostly with a sweet vintage sound. To me, this is one of the best. Local Customs, Downriver Revival, 2009. Country and Bluegrass are at the back of the shop. Folk Songs of the Hills, 1947, by Merle Travis. This was originally released on 478 RPM Shellac Records, some of his earliest recordings, but this CD contains two additional albums, Back Home and Songs of the Coal Mines. 78 RPM Shellac Records did not contain a lot of space. At best, they could hold 5 minutes per side. So discs would come inside an album, and that's why still today we call them albums. Grand Ukulele, 2012, by Jake Shimabukuro. Now, there is a great story behind Shimabukuro. He started playing the ukulele in bars and even formed his own band, all this in the 90s. He even signed a record deal that allowed him to record as a solo artist. However, it was only around 2006 that he became a big star when he posted a YouTube video playing the Beatles classic While My Guitar Gently Weeps. That video went viral, and the rest is history. It's fascinating that he was one of the first examples of YouTube's power, and I think this was even before Justin Bieber. And speaking of the Beatles, Let It Be on guitar, Joe Patterson plays the Beatles, 2019. This is a beautiful album where Joe Patterson plays a number of classics by the Fab Four. I am a huge fan of Chet Atkins, who released the classic Chet Atkins Picks on the Beatles in 1966. Now, that album is a classic. I never listened to anything from Joe Patterson until I found this album here on Decatur CD and Vinyl, and I was intrigued, so I asked around and decided to try it, and I loved it. Oh, and the album is in mono, which is very interesting. Buckham by Buck Owens. These are two large compilations in two double CDs. Complete Recorded Works, 2014, by the Louvin Brothers. The Carter Family Volume 2, 2003. Actually, they have Volumes 1 and 2, 10 CDs total, covering their career from 1927 to 1941. And here's something truly fascinating. Number 3, 1978, by Robert Crumb and his Cheap Suit Serenaders. This was their third and last album. Few people know that Robert Crumb, the counterculture icon who gave us Fritz the Cat and so much subversive comics, was indeed a gifted musician. His music was delicious, and he's still with us. Mr. Crumb, this video is dedicated to you. There is also a nice section dedicated to movie soundtracks. Nino Rota, The Soundtracks, 2011. This box contains the complete Godfather trilogy soundtracks and 2 more CDs dedicated to his work with Federico Fellini and other films. Nino Rota had such a stellar career with so many great soundtracks, a box like this will never disappoint. There is also a section dedicated to classical music with some great titles, including this one, Songs Volume 1, 2008 by Charles Ives. I love his work, and this is volume 1 of, I believe, 6 volumes that were released by Naxos. It's sad that his work was pretty much ignored during his life, but the good news is that I think this has been changing. Actually, this American Classic series by Naxos is fascinating. And cassettes, of course, they still exist. I am having a great time here at Decatur CD and Vinyl, and this shop has a nice section of discounted CDs on the next video that's coming right up. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. There's more great content coming soon. Thank you.